It has been an awful day here in Orlando, and our hearts are broken as we join you tonight on Fox 35 News at 10. I'm Luann Sorrell.
And I'm John Brown. 5 people shot in Pine Hills tonight. 3 of them are dead, including a journalist from Spectrum News 13.
He and another journalist who was also shot were covering the murder of a 20-year-old woman from earlier in the day. A 9-year-old girl was also killed. Our condolences go out to all the families impacted and our colleagues over at News 13.
And we want to bring in Fox 35 anchor Ray Vieta. He's live at the Orange County Sheriff's Office tonight. So, Ray, this story hits close to home for a lot of people in the news industry, but it's really just a tragic day for all of Central Florida.
John, to say that this hits close to home is an understatement. This happened in our home, and these journalists were doing a job that so many of us do and have done day in and day out. They put aside any concerns about going into a neighborhood or an area that may not have been the best because they had one mission: to get the story, not knowing they themselves would become a part of the story. It's tragic on so many levels. They went to cover a homicide, and now we know that one of those journalists is a victim of homicide, and so is a 9-year-old daughter. Senseless violence that took place in our community. I want to walk you through a timeline of exactly what happened today. It started this morning at around 11 o'clock. That's when the sheriff says a 20-year-old woman was killed. Police, according to the sheriff, this person was an acquaintance of the shooter. Then at around 4:05 this afternoon, the sheriff says they got multiple 911 calls about multiple people being shot. And then when they arrived is when we got a full idea of just how tragic this story is. We know the victims killed a 20-year-old woman this morning, a journalist from Spectrum 13, and a 9-year-old girl. According to the sheriff, this shooting happened first in the morning. These journalists arrived at the scene this afternoon to cover that story, and then that gunman, according to the sheriff, opened fire on them, killing one of the journalists, then going to a house nearby on Hialeah. The house was on Harrington Street, and opening fire on a mother and a 9-year-old daughter. That 9-year-old daughter died. We know the victims killed, again, a 20-year-old woman, a 9-year-old girl, and a Spectrum 13 journalist. We have reporters covering all angles of this story. We have Patrick Perez covering the journalists killed. We have Marie Ettinger covering that mother and daughter shot, that daughter that was then killed, and Connor Hansen covering the suspect. But we start with Patrick Perez. Patrick, I think I speak for all of us when I say our hearts are heavy.
Yeah, absolutely, Ray. It really is a somber night here outside of the sheriff's office. I was actually inside of the press conference at the building behind me when we learned what had happened to those 2 News 13 journalists, that they had been shot. Here's exactly what went down.
The News 13 reporter and photographer were covering this morning's homicide on Hialeah Street. Shortly after 4 o'clock this afternoon, deputies say the 19-year-old suspect from that homicide showed up at the scene and shot the news crew. A witness we spoke with described the moments after.
He's like, shots fired. He's like, call the police, and there's no one around. And so I run over there. I was speaking to the 911 operator, and they're like, this is what you do. So I was telling people, hey, go get a blanket, put some pressure.
Both journalists were taken to the hospital where one of them died, and at last check, the other is fighting for his life.
I want to acknowledge what a horrible day this has been for our community and our media partners. I work closely with all of you and know many of you and know the very difficult job that you do, and also the very important job that you do for our community and for law enforcement. No one in our community, not a mother, not a 9-year-old, and certainly not news professionals, should become the victim of gun violence in our community.
Charter Communications, the company that owns Spectrum News 13, released a statement tonight about the shooting, saying, quote, "We are deeply saddened by the loss of our colleague and the other lives senselessly taken today. Our thoughts are with our employees' family, friends, and co-workers during this very difficult time. We remain hopeful that our other colleague who was injured makes a full recovery. This is a terrible tragedy for the Orlando community." Now, deputies say that suspect isn't saying much right now, but investigators are working to find out whether he even knew that he was shooting at a news crew or if he was targeting them specifically. Ray?
Patrick, so many questions at this hour. Here's what we do know. A mother is fighting for her life, and when she wakes up, and hopefully we hope she does wake up from this awful nightmare, she'll come to the realization that she lost her 9-year-old daughter. She's fighting for her life right now, and so is a photojournalist from Spectrum 13. And for that part of the story, we're going to turn to my colleague, Marie Ettinger. She's outside Orlando Regional Medical Center. And again, Marie, a mother and a fellow journalist fighting for their lives.
Yes, they are. And just to reiterate a bit of this timeline, the sheriff's office says just after shooting that newsroom with Spectrum News 13, the shooter who they have accused and arrested now, the person they are saying is responsible for all of this, 19-year-old Keith Moses, the sheriff's office says went to a home just down the road, entered and shot a woman and her 9-year-old daughter. And we found out this evening that 9-year-old girl did pass away. Now, just to be clear about where this is all happening, that shooting happened on Harrington. The home that the man entered was on Harrington Drive. That is just down the road from where the news crew was shot, only a few homes down. Now, hearing what happened and seeing deputies flood the streets, several people living in the Pine Hills neighborhood told me they wish law enforcement officers had a greater presence in the neighborhood on a regular basis, and that they hope their community leaders will show up in person after this tragedy just to talk things through. One man told me he had felt safe there up until recently.
As a community, we should come together. You know, we shouldn't be breaking apart. We shouldn't be having more shootouts.
So again, the mother is at the hospital behind me in critical condition. Last we heard, the sheriff's office says they are hoping she's going to be okay. While at the hospital, we have seen ambulances come through the area, which is to be expected. Just after the shooting, though, we also noticed a forensics unit that we'd seen on scene come to this hospital. We're going to be here just to bring you the latest updates as quickly as we can. Ray?
All right, Marie, thank you. As Marie mentioned, this investigation really is just beginning, and we're trying to figure out what led us to this point. For more on the suspect behind the rampage that took place today in our community, we're going to turn to Fox 35's Connor Hansen. He joins us live as well. And Connor, you're going to walk us through what we know about the suspect.
That's right, Ray. And tonight, the sheriff listing out several prior crimes that suspect has been arrested for in the past. And again, just to be clear, that suspect is in custody as detectives trying to figure out why he did what he did. Now, take a look at this photo we just received. It shows that suspect, Keith Moses. He's flanked by Orange County deputies. He's wearing a white jumpsuit, and it almost appears he has a smirk on his face. Moses is 19 years old. Even at that age, the sheriff says he has a history of gun charges, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, and grand theft. The sheriff said tonight that investigators at the original murder scene from this morning had a good description of Moses and were looking for him. He says the suspect was arrested not long after he shot several more people this afternoon, not far away, wearing the exact same clothes from the morning. Now, Sheriff Mina says they're still working to find out why this suspect chose to shoot those two journalists and why he chose to enter that home and shoot a mother and child. Reporting live in Orlando, Connor Hansen, Fox 35 News.
Connor, thank you. And so, as we continue to follow this investigation, we'll send you back with the facts that we know tonight. We know a journalist from Spectrum 13 is dead, a 9-year-old daughter is dead, and a woman, a 20-year-old woman, is dead as well. There are many questions, and we will continue to follow this story, but our hearts, of course, are broken. They're with our fellow colleagues from another media organization and with our community dealing with this violence. Luann and John.
All right, thanks a lot, Ray. Really sad day here, and we'll talk to you later in the newscast for the very latest updates.
Reaction is pouring in tonight on Twitter. The White House press secretary sent this tweet saying our hearts go out to the family of the journalist killed today and the crew member injured. Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood said, I need you to know we care and appreciate the hard work you do. This is a tragedy that should never have happened.
And Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima also shared this statement saying the tragedy is hard to put into words and their thoughts and prayers are with the victims. And the Orlando Police Department also shared this tweet expressing their condolences. Yeah, again, it's one of those days that hits close to home, but the whole community is grieving over this, and you see it on social media that, again, so much shooting here in our town.
Yeah, once again, we're in the national spotlight and world spotlight for a reason we don't want.
Yep.
But, you know, every day journalists go out. We've all done it. You cover these stories of shootings. You go into neighborhoods. You know, you don't expect to become the story. You expect to report on the story. So our hearts are just broken for, you know, our colleagues over at News 13. I can't even imagine what they're going through
Certainly
right
a rough
now.
day for them.
All right, well, you can depend on us here at Fox 35 News for any new developments that come regarding this story. We will bring you any new updates right here on Fox 35 News and on the Fox 35 News app.
Yeah, once again, tragic day here in Central Florida. So many families dealing with such horrible news tonight. Their lives change forever, obviously, and our hearts certainly go out to them tonight. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in 3 minutes with the other big news from today.
The Fox 35 Care Force, it's our commitment to Central Florida. Helping neighbors in need, honoring local heroes, supporting our cities, towns, and communities to make them a better place. Why do we do this? Because it's the right thing to do. And this is our home, too. The Fox 35 Care Force. Depend on us.
Hi, this is Spencer and Ryan at Bogan Muds. Do you know someone that makes our city a better place?
To nominate them for the Fox 35 Care Force segments, email fox35careforce@fox.com.
It was a deadly day on the streets of Orlando. A total of 5 people were shot in the Pine Hills community on Hialeah Street, allegedly by the same gunman. This is just north of West Colonial and Kirkman Road. 3 of those victims died, including a journalist from News 13, a 20-year-old woman, and a 9-year-old little girl. The 2 other victims are fighting for their lives tonight in critical condition. This all started at 11 o'clock this morning. That is when the 20-year-old woman was shot and killed. Then just after 4 o'clock, the alleged gunman returned to the scene of the crime, allegedly shooting 2 journalists with News 13. They were actually there reporting on the first shooting at the time. Then deputies say the gunman entered a home, shooting a woman and her 9-year-old daughter. That little girl passed away from her injuries. The girl's mother and the second journalist survived, but they are now both in critical condition. Well, here is a look at the accused gunman. He is 19-year-old Keith Melvin Moses. This is a new photo from the Orange County Sheriff's Office tonight. Sheriff John Mina says Moses has a long rap sheet. Our team of reporters are working every angle of this breaking story tonight. We'll get an update from all of them coming up in 15 minutes.
Also, a teacher's assistant recovering tonight after she was assaulted at school. Flagler County deputies say a student severely beat her when she tried to take away a video game from him.
And get this, that student is 6'6" and weighs around 270 pounds. Witnesses say he's so strong, he sent that woman flying through the air. Fox 35's Matt Trezza has more on the arrest at Matanzas High School. A historic winter storm is working its way across the country at this hour. Check out this video from downtown Minneapolis. Minnesota could get nearly 2 feet of snow in some spots. And here we could see record-breaking heat tomorrow. Fox 35 storm team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins us now.
Yeah, so Brooks, the thing I posted on social media we talked about yesterday, 100 degrees warmer here than it is in Minneapolis. It blew a lot of people away to think about it.
It is amazing when you see it below 0 in the northern tier, same country, and then here we're pushing 90 degrees. That is amazing. And in fact, it is historic for the time of year here in Florida. It's February. 90 is the warmest it's ever been recorded here in Orlando since records have been kept in 1892. And that's exactly where I'm forecasting us to be tomorrow. Right now it's 73, live view from Orlando Sanford International Airport. And speaking of the beach, we've got a launch happening tomorrow on the Cape. It'll be a 95% chance for a go. This is an afternoon launch at 1:37 p.m. Falcon 9 sending some Starlink satellites to orbit. All right, back to the story of this. Meanwhile, blizzard warnings across the northern tier. Our Fox Weather Alert System lighting up tonight. And here's a live view from Edina, Minnesota, where the wind is blowing. It is currently 19 degrees and the snow continues to accumulate. Just a reminder that indeed it is still wintertime. In fact, this storm system goes from New England all the way back to Southern California. The mountains east of Los Angeles are under a threat of snow and wind wintry conditions tonight. For us tonight, we'll see a low of 64 in Orlando, 60 in Ocala, just a little patchy fog. And here's the 7-day forecast. 90 tomorrow, record heat, close to 90 on Friday. That should also break at least the daily record or get close to it. 90 is the record high on Friday, so we're going to get pretty close to it. 88 Saturday, 87 Sunday, 88 Monday. Well, you get the idea. It's going to be about the same every day. A forecast resembling June, certainly more so than the end of February. By the way, John and Luann, our average first 90-degree day is April 15th.
Oh, we're way early then.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brooks. Well, coming up here on Fox 35 News at 10, the Orlando skyline could become a little fuller soon.
Yeah, the high rise that is one step closer to becoming reality. Plus, a wedding guest shot and killed by police a year ago. The ruling the state attorney's office just made in this case.
We are Fox 35, and you can depend on us.
Welcome back. No charges will be filed against the police officer who shot and killed a guest at a wedding in Winter Park last year.
Yeah, the state attorney just ruled that the officer acted appropriately. Police say the uncle of the bride, Daniel Knight, knocked out an officer with a punch and was coming after other officers. Wedding guests called 911 saying that Knight was being violent. Well, yesterday, Knight's family told us that they don't believe the officer needed to kill him to stop him. They're considering a lawsuit against the city of Winter Park. Former President Jimmy Carter is still resting at his Plains home, Georgia, as he continues to undergo hospice care. Meanwhile, people in that small town continue to talk about the legacy he's going to leave behind. Serving others has always been a key part of Carter's legacy. He's the only president to have graduated from the Naval Academy, going on to serve several years before resigning after his father died. He then returned back to his hometown of Plains to take over the family's peanut farm. It was there where he spent decades helping out his community, most recently as a Sunday school teacher.
Everybody loved him. We knew when it all began to get bigger and bigger that we were a mission field, that people came to us and we were their missionaries.
Carter's classes drew hundreds of people to church, with some people even sleeping in their cars just to hear him speak.
Coming up on Fox 35 News tonight, we continue to follow the heartbreak in Orlando. 5 people shot in Pine Hills today, including a 9-year-old girl, 2 women, and 2 journalists. We have live team coverage for you coming up in just a few minutes. We continue to follow breaking news. Orlando once again in the national spotlight after a gunman goes on a shooting rampage. Messages of support and love are pouring in.
Sanford police just tweeted out, "Our hearts are with our local media family." The horrific event sends shockwaves through the entire community.
And Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd sent this, saying he is stunned and heartbroken, and your families are all in our prayers.
All right, so if you are just tuning in tonight, here's what we know at this hour at 10:30. 5 people were shot in Pine Hills. 3 of them have now died, including a 20-year-old woman, a 9-year-old girl, and a member of the news team at Spectrum News 13. A second journalist from that same station was also shot, as was another woman. They are in critical condition.
The shootings were on Hialeah Street. The first shooting happened around 11 o'clock this morning. The others happened just after 4 this afternoon, as that Spectrum News 13 crew was preparing their report on the first shooting.
A 19-year-old man has now been arrested in connection with all of those shootings. And Fox 35 anchor Ray Vieta is leading our team of reporters tonight, covering every angle of this developing story.
He is live for us tonight at the Orange County Sheriff's Department. And Ray, all of our hearts are just so heavy tonight.
Lou and John, I just can't seem to wrap my mind around the fact that these 2 journalists got up to do a job so many of us have done or do day in and day out, to go and get the story, not knowing, not expecting that they themselves would become a part of this story, a part of this tragedy that unfolded here in Orange County. The sheriff walked us through what happened today. As you mentioned, and I'll reiterate, this all started at around 11 o'clock when a woman, a 20-year-old woman, was shot and killed on Hialeah Street. A team of journalists, 2 of them, showed up from Spectrum 13 to this scene to cover it. And it was then that they themselves became a victim of gun violence. And we know that journalist is now dead, one of them, and the other one is fighting for his life. So the sheriff says that same gunman went into another house and opened fire on a mother and 9-year-old. That 9-year-old daughter is dead, the mother also fighting for her life. The sheriff says this happened in broad daylight, and he's hoping that with neighbors' surveillance cameras, with people out and about on this warm day, someone comes forward with information.
I mean, it was 4 o'clock, so chances are there were people out and about. We're doing all the normal things we do during an investigation, looking for doorbell cameras and other cameras in the area. We're reviewing all that footage and certainly tracking down all the witnesses that we can.
At this point, there is a suspect in custody, a 19-year-old with a long rap sheet. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, I want to turn to Fox 35's Marie Ettinger. She is live outside our nearby hospital to tell us more about those victims clinging for life. Marie?
The sheriff's office says the 2 shootings in the afternoon happened in very quick succession. First, the ones against the News 13 crew. Next, that mother and her 9-year-old. So it was very quickly that these 2 things happened, and it was only really a few yards apart. The sheriff's office told us today the accused shooter, whose name is Keith Moses, walked down Hialeah, passing just a few homes before walking into one of them on Harrington Drive. That is where he shot a woman and her 9-year-old daughter. We got word a little before 7:30 this evening that little girl had passed away. The mother, meanwhile, is in critical condition at Orlando Regional Medical Center. That hospital, the one behind me, has Central Florida's only level 1 trauma center. Now, I researched more about what those classifications mean. It means that this particular hospital is able to give full treatment to its patients in every aspect of their care, from even just preventing injuries to treating them throughout and then into the recovery and rehabilitation stages. And we certainly hope that that mother will be in the recovery stages soon. So far and up to now, the sheriff's office has only said that she remains in critical condition. Ray?
Marie, we're definitely thinking about that mother and definitely thinking about that journalist who is fighting for his life as well at ORMC. Thank you. Connor Hansen is picking up the suspect part of this story, a 19-year-old with a long rap sheet. Connor.
Yeah, that's right, Ray. The sheriff tonight listing out a long list of priors for that suspect. But tonight, we're also hearing from community leaders who are speaking out after hearing about this terrifying violence. Again, that suspect was only 19 years old. Earlier tonight, I was able to speak with Pastor Stovilio Stovall, who works with youth in the area, hoping to prevent gun violence. The pastor also lost a child of his own to gun violence. Take a listen to what he had to say.
It's shocking, and because of it's getting worse, and for these young people to be acting out like this, I'm talking about from what I'm seeing that come back to the crime scene and to do something like this is just. It's bad. It's real bad.
And again, as you would imagine, after such a tragedy, we're seeing the responses from community leaders pouring in. We'll continue to follow those for you and bring you them as we get them. Ray?
Connor, thank you. And so the investigation continues here at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. To say our hearts are heavy is an understatement. These are journalists doing the same job that so many of us do every day. And so they are in our thoughts and prayers, as is this mother who will hopefully wake up. And when she does wake up to the tragic reality that her 9-year-old daughter has passed. We will continue to follow this story, but for now, we'll send it back to you in the studio, Lou and John.
Ray, thank you. This is such a horrific thing to have happened here in Orlando. Again, another mass shooting.
And again, national spotlight here for all the wrong reasons in this case. And again, like everybody's been saying, our hearts truly go out to all the victims in this case as we see more families in Orlando torn apart by gunfire. We will continue to follow this story and bring you the latest details as they come in.
In other news tonight in Orange County, no bond for this man accused of carjacking a man at a gas station in Orlando. Yandel Ortiz faced a judge today after his arrest yesterday. Deputies say he got to the passenger seat of that car and then fired a shot with his gun into the windshield to prove he was serious. The driver handed over diamond jewelry and his new iPhone. The suspect then told the victim to drive to the victim's house. Ortiz let the man go inside alone, and that's when he called 911. Ortiz took off in the car and was finally arrested at a car wash.
Well, there is some wicked winter weather from coast to coast once again tonight.
Yes, millions of people are dealing with bitter cold, blizzards, and dangerous wind gusts. Fox 35's Anna Eliopoulos explains. Building Orlando, this project is known as the Vertical Medical City. The city's planning board is recommending it be approved. It would be a 35-story high-rise along North Orange Avenue right next to I-4. It would include medical care and assisted living space. There are still several steps to go before the project can break ground.
All right, from the local youth soccer clubs to the local big leagues, a Central Florida woman is drafted by her hometown team, the Orlando Pride.
And she says it's her childhood dream come true. Tonight, she's sharing her excitement with Fox 35 sports reporter Adam Shadoff. Coming up next, a new attraction will take you into a real-life version of an animated movie. Find out when Disney will open up this attraction.
Plus, a scary scene at a middle school basketball game when the coach collapses. How staff jumped in to save her life. Coming up. All right, first of all, the Fox 35 Pump Patrol. We found $3.04 a gallon. It's at the Circle K near the intersection of West Erlo Bronson Memorial Highway and Entry Point Road in Kissimmee. We'll be right back.
Depend on Fox 35 News.
For learning about what's happening now and why.
For weather forecasts that get it right.
For keeping your family safe.
We are Fox 35. You can depend on us.
We continue to follow a sad and deadly day on the streets of Orlando. A total of 5 people were shot in the Pine Hills community on Hialeah Street, allegedly by the same gunman. That location is just north of West Colonial on Kirkman Road. 3 of the victims died, including a journalist from News 13, a 20-year-old woman, and a 9-year-old little girl. The other 2 victims are still fighting for their lives tonight in critical condition. We want to get to some other news of the day right now. In Osceola County, witnesses leap into action after a coach collapses right during a basketball game.
Yeah, now doing okay thanks to the quick actions of people who saw it happen. Fox 35's Christy Kern has more.
Well, a massive winter storm is working its way across the country tonight. This is video from Utah. Someone decided to use a dog sled to get around because they probably didn't want to walk in all that snow. Well, that area is expecting more than 10 inches of snow and winds of up to 60 miles per hour. Fox 35 storm team meteorologist Brooks Garner is back with us now.
And Brooks, I guess sometimes down here we forget that it's still winter because it's been so nice over, the past month at least.
It's amazing. They're literally doing the Utah version of the Iditarod dog race.
In Alaska.
And meanwhile, we're chilling by the pool and watching the waves come in at the beach, or maybe waiting to go to school tomorrow morning. 64 degrees at the bus stop tomorrow morning. Some spotty fog, and then hot 90. 90 tomorrow is going to be a record, not just for the day, but it'll tie a record for the entire month of February as far as what February can dish, and that'll be the case for the rest of the month right through early March with way above normal temperatures. Our hottest day in February recorded since 1892, and records were first kept, happened 3 times. Once in 1962, so 6 decades ago, and then twice in 1935 from a very similar setup. Meanwhile, down here, it is, well, it's like early summer, just about 90 for the next couple of days, right on through Monday before we cool down, I say in quotes, to 86 for Tuesday, Wednesday. That's still 10 degrees above normal. So all eyes tomorrow on the record high, but either way, it is going to be toasty with very little rain in the forecast, maybe a shot of it on Tuesday, but that's it. Luann and John, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot. Well, people who are trying to soak up the sun in Daytona Beach shores are not going to be able to use the vehicle access ramp at the Dunlawton Boulevard for a little while.
That's because crews have shut it down to make repairs related to damage caused by Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. Volusia County officials are urging visitors to avoid that area for about 2 weeks. During this time, a lifeguard station and a restroom will be repaired. Many businesses around the beach say they are still trying to get back to normal after the storms.
One of the best things that we could do for each other is try to build each other up, and we're all small businesses down here, and if you could come down here and spend some of your money and try to build our businesses back up would be great.
You can find more information about access ramps and repairs on our website, fox35orlando.com.
All right, coming up next on Fox 35 News here at 10, the Girl Scouts ready for another successful cookie season. But these cookies are more than just a treat. They're also a lesson. Well, it is cookie season, and local Girl Scouts are setting up the booths once again and even shipping out those boxes of the Thin Mints, the Samoas, and the Tagalongs.
You say you've already polished off a couple boxes,
I should have
right?
got more than 3 boxes.
Well, today, Troop 553 took us to their mountain of cookies where it all begins. Boxes upon boxes just waiting to be sold. Little Avery Abel showed our crew around today. Her mom says cookies are the appetizer on the course of becoming great women and entrepreneurs.
It's a lengthy process that starts in December and goes all the way through March, with them continually looking at their goals, their progress, reevaluating, and continuing to work towards them.
Avery's goal is to sell 450 boxes of cookies this year. And by the way, there's a new flavor out this year. It's called Raspberry Rally, but you can only buy it online. Well, the newest ride at Busch Gardens is almost ready to take flight. The Serengeti Flyer will open to the general public Monday, but annual pass members will get a preview this Friday. The Serengeti Flyer is the world's tallest and fastest ride of its kind. This video shows the twin dueling gondolas, which swing progressively higher. They reach speeds of 68 miles per hour.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but if you want to take a sneak peek of the ride a little early, join us tomorrow morning on Good Day Orlando. Fox 35's David Martin will be live at Busch Gardens to check out the new ride.
Meanwhile, fans of Big Hero 6, you can get ready to explore San Francisco. That's right, San Francisco Square. The movie-themed area inside Disneyland will open up this summer. It's named after the main city in the animated film. Now, if you couldn't tell, it's a combination of San Francisco and Tokyo. You can eat from a variety of Asian-inspired items, drink themed beverages in the beer garden, and you can even meet the robot Baymax right there in the park. All right, so shifting gears once again, we continue to follow this sad day here in Orlando. 5 people shot and 3 people have been killed.
We have a team of reporters covering every angle tonight, including Fox 35 anchor Ray Viega. Ray.
A 9-year-old girl and a journalist are dead tonight, victims in a shooting rampage. We are covering all angles of this story, the victims, the heartbreak, and the search for answers.
Also, weather-wise, tracking record high temperatures tomorrow. We'll talk about how long this will be here and the weather that awaits behind this very unusual system for the end of October.